All right, this is take two. Thank you, Lord, for my own play. We did the last video. Too much talking in the background is distracting the mess out of me. But let me just pray before we start. Father God, I thank you for this moment. I thank you, Lord, for this moment of teaching, this moment of revelation. I pray that you would give me the strength to do what I'm going to do. Use my mouth, speak through me, so that people can understand what I'm saying. Amen. All right, let me close this door. All right, I'm back. Okay, holistic locks. I'm going to break down to you the most holistic way that you can take care of your hair, of your locks. Doesn't have to be complicated, nor does it have to be simple. Anyway, locks. What is locks? Locks is basically matted hair. Some people call it dreads, others call it dreadlocks, right? They call it different things, but it's basically matted hair or hair that has tangled up, and after some time, it'll go from a fro if you have African type hair or curly hair. It'll start in a fro, and then time after time, it'll start to split and start to go off in its own directions as it starts to, mat up. It'll be different sizes and everything. That's what you call free form, where you don't do anything to your locks. You just allow it to do its own thing. You allow it to split itself. The only thing you'll be doing if you have freeform locks is washing your hair, shampooing your hair with either some type of organic bar soap, or you will be um, using some type of shampoo or whatever the case is, focusing on the scalp. That's the main attraction, the scalp. And then you'll be oiling your scalp. That's it. All right, so everyone knows that locks, you normally see what's called the manicured locks. That's when you actually go to the salon and they part your hair really neat according to what type of parts you want, what size locks you want, and then you go for your either bi-weekly retwist, your monthly retwist, or whatever. So those are the more acceptable form of locks in this society and in this world, especially the corporate world. When it comes to free form locks, that scares them, it terrifies them. Although that is the most natural way to have a set of locks. All right, so this is going to be my umpteenth set. I did have a set of locks. They started out as braids, which I grew my hair out for about uh, little less than a year. Let me see. I cut my hair in December 2017. December 2017, I cut my hair and I grew it out all the way until September or so, and then I had my friend install box braids. But I asked her to do the parts, quite large, because I wanted a larger set of locks this time, because my hair is fine. So when the locks are too small, when I retwist, it's like really skinny, and I didn't like that. I didn't want the threat or the thing to happen where it could easily be plucked out of my head. So the larger your lock is, the stronger your base is. And you have to also know your hair type. So anyway, I kept those in, and for about 3 months, I did not take it out. I just ended up, washing my scalp as if they were locks, and then I retwisted maybe every 2 weeks or so. And I was toggling between the manicured or the free form. And let me just say this, and this is what I personally believe. Locks are spiritual. Locks is a spiritual hairstyle. A lot of you may not believe that. If you don't believe that, then you don't have to pay attention to what I'm about to say. But for those of you who understand that, you know what I'm saying is the truth. And it may give you some encouragement and some help and some tips. Locks is a spiritual hairstyle. Normally, when you see someone installing locks in their hair, when you see someone installing locks in their hair, that is a sign, whether they are conscious or unconscious of it, at the time that they're embarking and beginning a spiritual journey. Trust me. Normally, when someone is not necessarily ending a spiritual journey, but going into a new season of their life, you will see them all of a sudden. And I'm talking about people that have locks for years. You'll see them just cut their hair off. And you're like, what's going on? Why'd you cut your locks? Because, they will say, I'm trying something different. I'm in a new season of my life, whatever, whatever. So that's the time. So locks is definitely um, a spiritual hairstyle. Let me look at the settings real quick. Is a spiritual hairstyle. Let me see if I can share this real quick. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. If the video pauses, I didn't hang up. Hold on. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to go shit at the Facebook real quick. Yeah, but so when someone installs their locks, that's a sign that spiritual journey that is starting, whether they are conscious of it or not. When someone cuts their lock, someone that has been in the lock game for a number of years, it's a sign that they are shifting into a new area of their life, and the locks has to go. Okay, so all throughout the Bible, locks, the Nazarites, male and female, who would take a vow, a holy vow unto God, um, for an extended amount of time, and they were not. The vow was they would not cut their hair nor allow any razor to come upon their head, including shaving their beard if they were a male. No lineups, any of that. They wouldn't eat anything from the vine. They wouldn't eat anything from the vine. No grapes, no vinegar, nothing that grows from a vine, nothing that comes from a grape. They were not to be any near any dead carcass that includes a human being, no funerals or any of that. And they were consecrated as holy unto the Lord for that time. So Lox is biblical. For those of you who say, "Oh, Lox is demonic," I see one person say that Lox is witchcraft. Lox come from the Marine Kingdom. You're stupid. I'm sorry. I had to say it the way it is. Lox is older even than the Bible. The Bible is written. Lox is older than Rastafarianism. Does not come from Rastafarianism. Lox is not, and Lox is also not a specifically black only hairstyle. Do your research. White people had locks. Asian people had locks. Indian people have locks. Do your research. So it's not a race thing here. But again, locks was normally seen, even in these other cultures, as a spiritual statement. If you had locks in that time, or they seen you with locks, or you go to a certain place and you have locks, they will look at you as a holy man or a holy woman. You see, because again, it's a spiritual thing. Locks is not for everybody. So I'm in the process of growing my hair back, and I'm going to do another set of locks. I'm going to do another set of locks. I'll put it this way. In my soul, deep within my soul, I know that my locks is supposed to be free form, right? But I don't think I'm quite ready for it yet. Maybe there's a more maturing in my self-esteem that needs to happen first. Because again, the free form is like a whole new level of, I would say, rebellion against the culture, rebellion against the system, rebellion against the oppressor that wants you to look less of what they call aggressive, less of what they call empowered. When you see someone in freeform life, that is someone that is really liberated in a sense, um, in their personality and who they are. They don't care what anybody thinks of them. They're secure in themselves. I'm not all the way there yet, so I can be transparent. So for now, I'll start out with the retwist. Luckily for me, I've watched enough YouTube tutorials online. I can retwist my own hair. I know how to retwist my own hair. So I'll start out with the retwist. Probably start out with a thicker set, not so small. Maybe the size of a nickel. I'll probably do the parts. Uh, Probably the size of a nickel. Yeah, I'll probably do the parts that big. But it depends. It depends on how soon I start my locks. But I'll be putting my locks in. For me, yes, it is, and I'm hate to seem like I'm rambling, but I gotta get this stuff out. For me, it is a spiritual journey, and it also is a journey for me to accept myself. There's just something in my soul that won't let go of locks. Long hair, period. I like long hair. I like the idea of, you know, a guy who can have long hair, long braids, or a huge fro. that's cool, but there's something in my soul that is just really crying out, saying that you have to lock your hair. Maybe it's something in my soul, something in my generation or my bloodline that is seeking to, re-manifest itself. I don't know what it is, but I'm just going with the flow. So I'm growing my hair back. This is, I cut my hair again, and I'm gonna tell you the story behind that real quick. December again, actually January, and I ended up like maybe 2 weeks later just cutting it all the way down just to even it out because I had started with the sides first, and then I combed out the locks that was on the top, the braids I was telling you about, and then I'm saying, nah, man, I cut off everything. So but I believe what happened, like I said, because of it being a spiritual thing, I believe like I was attacked spiritually and emotionally. Um, some thought just came out of nowhere. It was like, oh, you just cut your hair. It's time for a change, and you want to do something new. And I totally went along with it. You know what I mean? But now I realize, nah, it wasn't. It wasn't. That wasn't me. It was the enemy. It was the dark force. It was the evil one. It was the entity that told me to cut my hair. And as soon as I cut it, let me tell you. Let me tell you what happened. The first cut, the first trim, and Jerome, if Jerome Sage Butler, if you see this video, I want you to comment on this right here. The first cut I did, at that time I didn't comb out my locks. I only shaved the sides. So I still had the locks on the top. That first night when I went to work to go punch in at the clock, I have an 8-pin punching number. Been punching in that same number for about 6, 7 months. That same night when I went to the punching clock, I was looking at the clock for about 2 minutes. I could not remember my punch-in code. That scared the mess out of me, y'all. So with me cutting out the sides of my hair, it cut out some of my memory and my knowledge temporarily. Temporarily. So as I, was like, what in the world's going on here? Why I can't remember my password? Eventually it started to come back to me. It was a very powerful experience. I had never experienced that before. So again, those of you that is seeking to grow your hair to start locks, or you already have long hair, you want to lock it up, let me tell you something. It is a spiritual journey. It is. Whether you focus on that aspect or not, it is. There's going to be an attack that is released upon you to not get you to lock your hair, or when you do start locking your hair, you can't keep your hands out of it. You always, it's this, it's that, it's ugly. You're gonna get an attack that's telling you to cut your hair. You might get an attack if you are seeking to go into the corporate arena to look the part, maybe retwist them. You might be doing freeform. I'm just letting you know in advance. I'm letting you know in advance. Locks is a great way to um, strengthen your auric field. It's also protectant for that crown chakra that's up there. It's a protectant, and it holds in energy. So you want to make sure that during, before, and during your locking process that you are in a positive state of mind, because you don't want to soak in and lock in that negative energy. I mean, and just on a physical level, with especially with locks, if you are somewhere where there is somebody smoking, or there's a lot of smoke, you're in a barbecue, it's gonna get soaked up in your hair. Just to kind of put the 2 points together, what I was saying about the spirit, you soak up. So you want to make sure that you're taking care of your hair. So again, to reiterate, I'm in the process of regrowing my hair now. It's growing really fast. I've been using something called the virgin hair fertilizer. Some of y'all might know about that. And I'm using it because it has medicinal properties. I'm going through a little issue with my scalp. I don't know what's going on. I think it's a Jamaican black mango and lime sproil that I've been using ever since I used it. This was before I cut my locks. It's just like this itching, intense itching. It was just intense. I would wash my hair really good, and next thing you know, the next day, the itching would just be back. So I don't know what was going on. And also, that's the only thing I could think is after I started using that mess, my scalp was just acting crazy. So I stopped using it. So I'm in the process of getting my scalp rebalanced. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's a fungal. I have no idea where it came from, how it started, but I definitely want to get that taken care of before I start my locks. Because when you get to locks, you it's not as easy to get to your scalp. You can't comb your hair, okay? And one of the most annoying things with locks is after you done doggone there, scraped your scalp till it's about to start bleeding, right? 3, 4 washes. You're like, I'm good, I'm good. You get in the mirror, and all you see is all them dead flakes just stuck right up at the top of the new growth. That is the most aggravating thing. Because you're like, are you serious? All that time I spent scrubbing my scalp, my scalp is about to start bleeding. And you mean to tell me that the dead skin is just right here? It ain't going nowhere. It just defeated the whole purpose. You just washed your hair off for nothing. So that's one of the most aggravating things. So I stopped using that Spro, so I'm not using that no more. I'm going to now get into the holistic part of the video. I guess the spirit needed that introduction to get out to understand a little bit of the history of locks and the spiritual nature of locks, the metaphysical nature of locks. Your locks are your antennas. So I'm just letting you know. So when you start getting attacked in those ways, make sure that you are on the winning side, which is the side that is loving on yourself, loving your hair as it is. Also, the spirit is telling me to tell you that locks hair in itself, but especially locks. I guess because the locks is more condensed. It's like little ropes instead of it just kind of being free everywhere. It's more condensed. So I guess the spirit is telling me to tell you this. Locks. I know this is gonna sound crazy, but I mean, it's gonna bless somebody. Locks are alive. They are conscious. They are sentient. They have a mind of their own. So this is why even if you don't have locks, this is why one day you wake up and you pressed your hair, you did what you're supposed to do the night before, and you take your hair out and your hair is just like, and you're like, didn't I put you down like this? And it's like you try to grease it down, and then before you know it, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Just all over the place, like, and it's like the most frustrating thing. But what your locks, your hair wants to do what it wants to do. It is intelligent. I'm telling you, it is intelligent and it has a mind of its own. It has a consciousness. It wants to do what it wants to do. When you have locks, that's even the more so, especially if your locks are short. So if you can't make it through the so-called ugly stage, you ain't gonna last. And even when your hair gets long, starts to get into the teenage stage, the mature stage, it's still gonna have its days when it wants to do what it wants to do. The purpose of having locks as well is because locks is supposed to be an extremely low maintenance hairstyle. An extremely low maintenance hairstyle. There's nothing you're supposed to be doing to your locks, as opposed to having a shortcut, a fro, something you got to put in rollers, something you got to brush. You don't do nothing to locks. The only thing you do is, unless you have an issue with your scalp and you have to wash every week, you're not supposed to be washing no more than 2 weeks. 2 weeks minimum. 2 weeks minimum. You're not supposed to be washing your hair or doing any form of manipulation to it. As far as cleaning, 2 weeks minimum. If you can handle it, you can go up to a month. That is not nasty. It's not nasty because when you have locks, again, you can kind of hide, some of the stuff on your scalp. And if you're using what you're supposed to be using on your scalp, you wouldn't be worrying about your hair being that dirty. I would go maximum 3 weeks, and my scalp would not be dirty. It wouldn't be a huge amount of flakes. Nah. So you can go up to a month. You have some people that go to 3 months, 6 months to a year. That's too much for me personally. But I would say no more than 2 weeks. You shouldn't be washing your hair no more than 2 weeks, and you can go as long as a month. But with locks, again, it's low maintenance. Don't do too much to it. Your locks is giving you problems because you're doing too much. You need to leave it alone. It knows what it wants to do. The only thing you should be doing when you wash your hair, use the most organic shampoo you can find. All right, or bar soap. Use the most organic shampoo that you can find. Scrub your scalp. Scrub it, scrub it, scrub it. Get in there and lift up those dead cells. If you have a shower head that can blow out really powerfully, that's even better because that'll help blast out some of those old um, the skin cells that come off of your scalp. And don't be too anal with it. You're not going to get it perfectly clean because if you're getting perfectly clean, you're probably damaging your hair in some way. Just get it as clean as you can. All right. And then after you wash your hair, you can also condition. For some of us that condition, I would recommend against it, to be honest. But if you condition, try to thin it out as much as you can. Maybe put half and half with water. And because the thing with conditioner is you're not supposed to wash a conditioner out. You're supposed to rinse the conditioner off. Did you catch that? You're not supposed to wash a conditioner out. You're supposed to rinse a conditioner. But the thing with locks, again, because you're not combing it and locks is pretty much porous, it's like a sponge. You don't want to use stuff that is creamy because even if you was to rinse it or wash it off, what you think, it's still down in that lock, and that causes a buildup. Eventually, causes a mold. Eventually, will cause lock rot, and then your locks will be falling out. So try to stay away from creamy products with locks, like the devil. Try to stay away from creamy products. Even if you're going to use a conditioner, wash it out. Don't rinse it out. Wash it out, completely out. Okay? So that you minimize the buildup. All right? After you get out the shower, you find yourself the most, again, organic oil that you can find. You can make your own oil, base it with sweet almond oil, put your essential oils. You can base it with some olive oil, whether light or extra virgin. Put some essential oils in there, depending on what you like to smell like and depending on what type of medicinal benefits you're trying to do. For those of us who have a very picky and sensitive scalp like mine, you may want to invest in some tea tree oil because that is one of the most powerful antifungal essential oils out there, and put it in your oil or maybe put it in your product. Yes, it does have a strong smell. So you want to make sure that you're putting just enough to get the effect, but don't be sitting here smelling like motor oil. And you massage your scalp, and I would even recommend putting a shower cap on, put your locks in there, and do a natural steam. Leave it on your hair for about an hour, a couple hours, and your hair will naturally steam it. Take it out, and then you do your retwist. Do your retwist, clip it down, and let it dry naturally. That's unless you have something to do that day, treat your hair. It's like a spa day. Treat your hair nice, and it will look nice. That's just how that goes. Because remember, it is conscious, it is sentient. What you can also do, I learned this from Locs by Yanni. Yanni's a lochologist. She recommended get a spray bottle. You buy hair grade vitamin E oil and um, all natural organic rose water, not the food grade. Don't buy the food grade rose oil. Buy the 100% organic rose water. All right. So you get a spray bottle, and the measurements are 50-50, which means however much of the vitamin E oil you put in the bottle, you put the same amount of the rose water. All right. That's simple enough. Shake it up really well and spritz. Don't soak your hair with that stuff. Just maybe spritz your scalp. You can spritz a little bit on your hair. You rub it through, and I'm telling you, your hair is going to be so soft and moisturized. You can use that once a week, maybe twice. That's the thing. Stop overdoing it with locks. Once or twice a week. All right. Sometimes your scalp is itching because it's going through different changes. Like right now, probably the reason why I'm dealing with this little dry scalp issue because it's colder. So what I probably need to do is go out and get some black castor oil because it's thicker. So in the winter months, that's another thing. You want to get an oil that is much thicker to coat your scalp unless you're allergic to it because it's colder. It's the winter time, so your hair and your skin is going to be much drier. All right. So again, to reiterate, the most organic shampoo that you can get. And then same thing with the conditioner. If you use conditioners, try to get the most organic one, put it in a bottle, thin it out so it's not so creamy. Thin it out. It's still going to do what it wants to do. and wash it out. Don't rinse it. Wash everything clean out of your locks. Don't wring your locks. Just squeeze it. Squeeze it. Put that shower head right on it. You feel me? Get it out. Get in there. Squeeze that stuff out. And then you oil your scalp really, really good. And you can steam it. Put your shower cap on and just put your locks in there and just do a natural steam. Let this the heat from your scalp steam your hair. And then you can go get rose water mix again. And the measurements are half and half. Get yourself a spray bottle. Buy yourself the hair grade vitamin E oil. Buy yourself 100% organic rose water. Do not buy the food grade rose water from your supermarket. That ain't real rose water. You mix it in the bottle, half the bottle, or whatever measurement, or how much ever you put of the vitamin E, put the same amount of rose water. Shake it up. It's a spritz, not something to oil your scalp. It's a spritz. Do that, and your hair should thank you. Anything else that I want to say? Yeah, I think that if there's anything else, I might do a part two. Don't do the most with your locks. Do not get it retwisted so often, styled so often. This is why you see people like Lil Wayne and 2 Chainz and they're balding because of stress, the drugs and alcohol, but a lot of times because they're always out and about, they're always doing a style. Stop that. Think about it. You have locks in your hair now. It's condensed ropes of matted hair. So it's heavier than if you just had a fro, which is just naturally, it does what it wants to do. It's not heavy at all. So there's little to no stress on your scalp. But when you got locks now, it's heavier on your scalp, especially depending on how big it is. So you have to keep that in mind. You can't keep retwisting all the way down to the scalp so tight that it's buckling. You're damaging your hair. Don't retwist so tight and don't retwist so often. Be mindful of the gels that you are using. Right? Use a gel that is very water based. The best, in my opinion, is Eco Styler gel. My scalp, I don't have no problem with it. I don't got no flakes, and it gives a nice shine. The olive oil one, that's the one I personally use. But go with Eco Styler gel. It washes out really good, and the hold is really strong. Go with that. Don't be using no putties and no creams and waxes. That's why you got a buildup. That's why you have a buildup, and you're trying to minimize the buildup, folks. In the past, what I have done, I used the Eco probably once in a blue moon after my hair got much longer, and I was just retwisting my hair with um, black castor oil, and that gave a awesome shine. My hair was thick and full and everything. So, you know what? I probably should go back to that. And even when I had locks, it seemed like my scalp, like the issues with my scalp was minimized. I guess I think I'm probably having the issues now because my scalp is probably still in lock mode. It's probably still used to it, so my scalp is exposed now. So it's like going all crazy trying to figure out what's going on here. But don't worry, scalp. The locks will be back to cover you up. But don't do the most. Keep it simple. Keep it as organic as you can. Don't retwist so often. Retwist like when your hair is shorter, of course you're gonna want to retwist it more because it unravels quicker. But when your hair starts to get maybe like it's a 6 month, the year, come on now, don't be retwisting like that. Retwist it like do a style it every month, pretty much the most. You know what I'm saying? The longer you go, the better it is. To be honest with you, if you can go 3 months without styling, it's better for you. It's healthier. You can still wash your hair, of course. Um, and when you retwist it, your locks will be much thicker. Because remember, you ain't combing. Do not use combs in your hair when you have locks. I see videos with people they be combing the new growth before they retwist it. Do not do that because when you have your hair loose, when you comb your hair, doesn't 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 dead hair come out too? You know what I mean? You add the same logic to what you're doing. When you comb your hair, dead hair comes out too. So guess what? Your locks gonna go with it. So do not comb your new growth before you retwist. Just take your finger and just, you know what I mean? Like that with some gel or whatever. and retwist it. Simple. And do not retwist it tight. Just retwist it what they call taut. That's like almost tight. You know what I'm saying? And you just clip it down, and that's it. Simple, easy to go. And if you let it air dry, if your hair is like mine, which dries really fast, dumb fast, in about an hour, 2 hours, I'm good. Good to go. I can take my clips out. So, holistic locks. This is the way with locks. Locks is supposed to be, again, extremely low maintenance. Extremely low maintenance. So, please like this video, subscribe, share. If there was a question that you wanted for me to answer and I missed it, please comment it down below and I will answer your question there. All right, y'all.